no mentors. We have no institutions that we own. There's no way we can't put anybody on. We don't have any major record labels. We don't know distribution. We are just literally the most populous group, which essentially means the biggest consumer group in the Western Cape. And understand this. When I did my 2004 release of Deeper Sounds of Erefaan Pearce, I literally got told that the Western Cape ain't shit in a nice way. Because we don't buy. So when I'm going out there and I'm saying shit on behalf of the greater community and I get no support from my peers, bruh.
And weren't you the first colored DJ to have a Deeper Shades
Deeper
compilation?
Sounds.
Deeper Sounds
Yeah.
with-
No. Actually, there was one guy. Was it Deeper Sounds? But the same label, USM, was it was a different brand name. But there was another guy. I don't know if he was colored, but I think he was, or at least he was like biracial or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I was the first. I can guarantee you, first colored guy from Cape Town for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever happened.
And
again.
that was a dope compilation, but like I
Thank
mean,
you.
there was no support.
No, there was.
Or as
in,
per-
in a way of sort of like sort of bootlegs.
Yeah.
Okay, also there's the thing also people have a very difficult time imagining this dark skinned guy being successful. You understand what I'm saying? It goes against the grain. There's something about that makes him uneasy. You know, I'm not quite black. I look kind of blackish.
Yeah.
And that time period, for example, given where colored people were socially, maybe whatever I represented wasn't a good fit for the time. I mean, I did well. I benefited quite enormously from it, but not in the same way as some of my white counterparts on the same compilations, especially in the numbers game and so forth. I mean, it was quite annoying a lot of times where I would walk into a room and colored fans would come into a room and white counterparts would be next to me and they'd be like, straight up just ignore me, go straight to the other guy, and I'm looking like. I mean, I didn't feel salty about it. It was just like interesting, the observation and the socialization. And it's pretty much the same thing. For example, if my name was John and I had blue eyes and I was literally white, and I said the same thing I said today, I'd have 1,000 comments. Also, it's interesting is that like my so-called white friends in the scene essentially stop interacting with me. If you go to my post, any of my posts in the last sort of like 30 days, very few white people.
I was going to actually ask that question because you came up at a time where there were obviously a lot of white house DJs as well.
They still are.
They still are, but they were like
they ran the game basically. They still do, but I mean they were participants as well.
Yeah, but how do they view you now after that? Because I know you were kind of close to some of them.
I lost a lot of friends.
Close.
I'm not going to fucking lie about it. I lost a lot of friends. But it
Would say so-called friends.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say so-called because I mean, listen, guy. You make friendships and stuff, and things change. That's okay. You know, you're allowed to change your mind and narrative, whatever. Just because you and a friend has a falling out doesn't mean like that wasn't genuine. The premise and the reasoning for that thing. I mean, it's also survival.
Yeah.
It's problematic when you have this friend who is very vocal and militant about the racial layout of the city of Cape Town, if it makes any sense. But I mean, I still do lots of work with them, some of them, and we're okay, like behind closed doors. But I mean, publicly speaking, in terms of the social media thing, I get like zero support. I'm definitely not getting booked by any of them.
Do you feel that you might be just ahead of your time type of thing? You are thinking about a situation in the industry that is just not for now. It's something that's going to come, and you just. So sometimes I feel like that. I feel like I want to speak my mind, but I recognize that we're not there yet, man.
Nah, but somebody's got to start somewhere.
And I agree with you.
If nobody says anything, that it will never be the right time. I mean, I'm not doing and saying the things I do necessarily to get a response from the year now, but it needs to be said. And again, I'm not looking for credit for any of what the stuff I'm doing or saying from the community, because literally I'm just hoping for change. I don't give a fuck who runs with it after whatever the story is, as long as it gets done.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's important to me that brown people need to own their own institutions, or at least be able to participate, because as long as you don't have economy or institution in any social setup, you don't have any agency. You do not control narrative. They continue telling you and defining what it means to be a colored person, for example. And that's worrying for me.
Yeah.
But don't you feel that the buck stops at the supporters? As kind of people that support each other.
I don't agree.
Say for instance, so you're saying that so the white market support the counterparts, right? So once people start spending, the colored people start spending on colored people, they will also have like a say to say a bigger, market share type of thing where we run it.
Okay, so what marketeers have not understood about the colored people because of so many permutations of us. They've used a blanket term, colored people. What are you actually talking about? With different economic groups, different. I mean, there are people in Mitchell's Plain who's never left Mitchell's Plain, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, the waterfront, going to waterfront is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I mean, let that fucking sing in your head. I went to the waterfront, that's a big fucking deal. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I mean, so how do you sell to that market? The marketing and advertising is always being about like predictable factors and being able to conclusively always sell the same narrative to a set group. Marketing to colored people is complex. We are complex people. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we maybe are not acknowledging about ourselves. Who are you? I mean, you are a lot of different things, a lot of different experiences. Yes, me and you have similarities, but actually, at the end of the day, are we the same? Like, enough so much so that you can sell and say, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, literally, the best they could do was like the Kham accent. But understand, like, I mean, literally, as I'm speaking, do I sound particularly Kham?
No.
I mean, if somebody actually had to hear me right now, they'd be like wondering if this brass putting on an accent or stuff or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, how do you sell effectively to our group? And it's not, again, like, capitalism would have you believe that as the responsibility of the consumer for the cuck that corporations do. So, for example, we have carbon tax. Now, suddenly we are paying for the manufacturing practices of X, but we are not getting shares or dividends from said company. Yet we expect it for buying it, and we cannot influence how they manufacture in any fucking way whatsoever. Government can, but we can't. There's no referendum, for example, for us to vote on plastic or paper usage, for example. This doesn't happen. Yet you are doing exactly what they expect us to. We just basically pass the buck on to the consumer. And the one thing you need to understand about consumers and people in general is like to rally people behind a common cause is very difficult. Only in times of strife and difficulty do people come together. So, for example, late 30s, all of you, right?
Yeah.
I'm 42 now. So you at least saw the student riots, at least. Tear gas,
Yes.
apartheid, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So times of difficulty, we rally together.
Yeah.
This younger generation they don't have a focal point. They don't have the kind of difficulty that me and you, I mean, their difficulty is like, oh, I can't pay my school fees. My nigga, come on, dog. I mean, this was one of a million different, I mean, fuck, I literally told a woman yesterday that like, my biggest fear was that I was becoming like a plastic bag back at ShopRite. With all due respect, I mean, having the ability I had academically at school, that there was a real possibility that I wouldn't be able to go study because I didn't meet the quota the apartheid government put out. So I could become a teacher or a nurse. That was like the
the default.
guaranteed thing we could do.
Yeah.
But doctor, engineer, that kind of shit, once a million, the government decides on that. They literally had quotas for that. I don't know if you guys are aware of that.
Yeah, I heard something along that line.
Yeah, so basically they would decide there's only X amount. So basically they wouldn't send white doctors into colored and black areas. So what they then did was they like got a set quota amount of black and colored people to train as doctors and so forth and so
the
forth.
community.
So they can service the community because the apartheid government obviously didn't spark that, having white people in black and colored areas. So I don't think the buck stops with the consumer per se. Again, if we add the institution, we could make policy.
Yeah.
Because institutions are not just simply financial, but they're also policymakers. So my thing is like, why have we got a bunch of white guys deciding which artists are the most relevant artists for a very divided racial group, and they don't care what we think, bruh. This is the thing that like they disrespect us as a people on such a level. They don't give a fuck as to what you think. I mean, they had the Audacity Vodacom a few years ago when they had that like fucking, what's that little animal with the
what was it though?
comes out of the ground?
Yeah.
You know, it's this meerkat, yeah, the meerkat, and this meerkat was talking with a fucking Ham accent.
Yes. And
Remember,
had the gold chains and
can you literally can you imagine they did this shit to black people in this country?
You know, I was going to ask the question, like, do you think that it is like the marketing towards a white consumer and a black consumer is way easier than the marketing towards a colored consumer? So they just feel like, you know what, there's too much pity for us. We're not going to market to a colored consumer. But at the same time, when they feel they want to take from the colored community, they will take. Like,
Yeah,
with
but
the
I mean,
Vodacom thing you said.
this is a standard operating procedure for advertising companies all over the world. It's not unique to here. Okay, so in 1993, when we had our first election, so I remember reading the New York Times or something at that stage, and there was an article about how the Latino community in USA was disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Okay, now reading that article, there was so many parallels between colored people and the Latino community.
Yeah.
We have no national political power. Understand that we got local power, as in like we can decide what happens here in the city. But in terms of like national whatever, the ANC government made a massive mistake by ostracizing colored people further. By having their members make some fucking bullshit statements. I mean, there was some point that one report lady was talking shit about colored women. Now we were all drunk clapper.
Yeah.
We had Grace, who was married to Robert Mugabe, beating the shit out of a colored woman because she had sex with her son with a fucking like power lead.
Yeah.
Bruh. I mean, what kind of fucking anger is that? And how are we viewed in the greater scheme of things that people feel that that's okay?
Yeah.
I mean, was it Julie Roberts or something?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah, she wrote an article about like how our women were basically drunk lapper and they started to steal their men and all the other cuck and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then we had like this one minister in the ANC that said like, yeah, colored people must migrate from the Western Cape. They need in other areas of the country, but essentially because they couldn't win the vote down here. So I was having lunch yesterday dinner. Burgers basically was my the mother of my child, right? And we were chatting a little bit, and I said to her, I made an observation while I was sitting at Hudson's in Close Street. I was like, notice there's very few colored people in Close Street. There's a lot of black and a lot of white people and stuff. And I said, there's two observations I could possibly make of this. Well, three observations. One is that we're not comfortable in the CBD. Two, we're not economically in a good place where we're able to spend that area. And what is scary for me, we're the most populous group in the city, but after 6 o'clock, we are severely underrepresented in the social scheme of things.
Yeah.
And that's some crazy ass shit. We don't rent apartments in the houses. We don't rent flats. We don't buy houses in the city. This is not what we do.
But also that
Affordability.
that brings us to that point when you were still living close to Cape Tech.
Yeah, Zonnebloem.
Zonnebloem. And then you said that just look what they're doing with the city, the gentrification and stuff. They're moving us out.
Yeah, but it's economic apartheid in a sense. But my point I'm trying to make is that like in the province that we are the most populous, it seems that colored people are not progressing forward economically. You see, the financial zoning of, I mean, I saw something which is quite scary. A house in Mitchell's Plain for 800,000 rand. For what?
Yeah.
800K for a house in Mitchell's Plain.
It's severely overinflated, and I think it's done to a degree as where for people to actively afford. When I bought my first house, well, the only house that I bought.
I almost got excited there.
I mean, coming from then to now, I can't afford to buy a house. I can't damn afford to buy a house. Even though I'm earning more, I can't do it because it's risen astronomically, I think like over 400%.
Yeah, the Western Cape's rental and property prices are probably like 200-300% more than anywhere else in most similar ish cities like Johannesburg, Durban, and so forth, we pay a hell of a lot in terms of rent. So my point I'm trying to make is that like we are not benefiting as a people racially in the Western Cape. And my question is, whose fault is that? So now, typically what happens is that like colored people run and say the government, black government, because of our own racial prejudice, for example. Yeah.
Now
But this is incorrect because
white DA government.
not even. Not at all. Not even. Because you must understand that like the biggest employer of non-white people in the country is the government.
Okay.
So everyone else is you're being employed, no? You're being employed by the private sector. You can do the math. So I could probably guarantee take the data and look at the actually you can just look it up maybe while we move on to the next thing is like we can check what the average income is for the three population groups in the Western Cape in Cape Town specifically. It should be there. So yeah, I mean it's quite a fucking trip. Like
Because that then also, you talk about the representation in town, for instance, in the CBD after 6, but then you have to look at the representation then of the buying power, the representation of all facets of society comparable then to the colored community. And we probably like low down the totem pole on all of them.
because I
disagree on that.
I don't think so. Like I think it's situational depending on what you're dealing with. See what's happened, for example, over here. Like, okay, so are you guys aware of what the population is in Cape Town at the moment?
Joe, I lost track of that. I don't know.
Would you like to know?
4.5 million.
Yeah,
Probably.
so-
Cape Town salary? Did you ask that?
Yeah,
Okay, there you go.
not the city of Cape Town, but anyways, yeah.
For a handyman, 126,000 a year. Fuck, I need to become a handyman. Shit.
No, just say the average income for average income Cape Town. And then we can draw kind of like parallels between like the job positions that we average. I mean, out of the four of us, we should know enough professionals, and then we can kind of like work out like exactly what that is. And then we can say 800,000 rand a house a month, 800,000 rand houses 8 grand a month, right? On average. So what's happened? We've had like a lot of people migrating from the Eastern Cape Town here. Hence why we have this explosion in sort of informal sector settlements. It's not that there are more people, more black people having kids in the city of Cape Town. It's just that they've moved from the Eastern Cape and wherever else because there's more opportunity over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good place to go. So I mean, it's quite interesting how this affects the situation here. I mean, we've literally ran out of water. So I mean, that water situation was partially because of bad management by the city of Cape Town, but also
Of the influx of
Amount
people
of-
as well.
yeah, people. So the dams were able to sort out X amount of like whatever. So how many software developers you guys know?
I
Sure.
got about one on Facebook. But
Okay, so I mean personally, so let's say that
Personally-
job looks more likely like a decent salary. It's 307,000 rand. Yeah, say about 3.8 a year. After tax, he's earning about average of 25, and if he's buying 800,000 rand, which is 8 grand, it's 1/3, 30% of his income. So 8 grand times 3, that would be 1624.
Yeah.
So you need to earn a minimum of 24,000 rand over here. Now, when I look at those jobs over there, I know primary school teachers and I know graphic designer.
There are no office administrators as well.
Okay,
Graphic
so-
designer, I know.
So that graphic designer is earning basically 150K a year. The primary school teachers earning 19, which just makes 19 grand a month, sorry, and 15 for the graphic designer. So I know a lot of teachers, I know a lot of graphic designers that are colored. Okay, that means they can't afford 800,000 in a house. Neither one of them, unless they are married with someone else.
Yeah.
Independent, they can't. Administrative assistants earning less than 100K.
Yeah, no, quite a
That's
bit.
about 9,000 rand. They can't even touch sides.
Yeah.
Office administrator, which is basically fancy with a PA, I would imagine, is 114, it's 11,000 rand. So now, keeping this in mind, this is how my mind works. My peers don't think like this. You understand? It's
Yeah.
problematic in the community that I'm in when I'm thinking about these things and I'm talking about the situation based on this kind of information.
flies over most people's head because they're not thinking about it.
Well, they can't. I mean, it's like typically we always hear about like family planning. Family planning. What does it mean to be planning for a family? Family planning is a luxury for people who have money. I can't be thinking about family planning when I'm worried, when I'm living check to check. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you want me to do? I mean, think about like contraception. I'm literally working a 9 to 5 job. I got fuck all time off. I work Monday to Saturday, which is typically most of the people we know work in call centers. They work shitty shifts.
Yeah.
They're averaging about 15 grand a month
At best.
at best. Only way they can possibly move is they meet up with a partner and share costs. Car, decent polo costs you about like what 3,500 in a month.
Yeah.
You begin to see what the issue is. It's 3.5 grand, for example. A person offer 15,000 rand salary, and then that's assuming they got a car, then they got to pay rent, which is going to be about like, but what is the rent going for at the moment? I've just been living in the city my entire life.
I have no idea. Dude.
No idea.
Okay, so I mean, I'm paying
No, it could go from like
4K
about,
upwards.
for a 2-bedroom house. Let's just say, what are you looking at?
could go from anything from
6.
5 to about 8. That's the ballpark.
Okay, so let's
5
say,
to
but
8.
let's leave it at 6.
Yeah.
So it's not ridiculous and it's not crazy, but 6,000 rand plus your 15,000 rand plus your 3,500 rand car, which is like 9,000 rand. So what typically happens is you have Jonathan, Rafik, and whatever living with his parents till the age 30 till they get married because it's the only way they can afford all these things.
Yeah.
Point is that we're making way less money, and unfortunately, affordability is like super down.
So then coming back to that, what's the when you were at Kloof, the disposable
yeah.
income, disposable
I mean, like
income is
literally,
less.
VDE, a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That I didn't think about it. I literally go there and buy a hot chocolate, for example. I don't drink coffee very often. 40 rand. 40 rand for a cup of coffee.
It's a lot.
I don't think about it. I just pay with my card, bump swipe, and I march.
Yeah.
But then when I actually looked at the slip, because I was doing some reconnaissance stuff, and I thought, oh shit, 40 rand, damn son. It's the best goddamn coffee I've ever had in my entire life. You know what I'm saying? It's like for 40 fucking rand, bro. So if you think that's the average price, a bottle of water costs you about between 30 to 40 rand.
That's what taps are for. Fuck that shit.
You begin to understand the city is not. Our people can't afford. I mean, unless the best of us. And I'm not saying I'm the best. I just, you know, I'm just saying that I'm able to afford some of these things sometimes. I can't eat out very often, but yeah. That's why we're underrepresented. We're not making money. Our people can't afford. We're not in this whole situation. I mean, we go to parties and we have young kids sharing a fucking beer. Because the beer's 18, was it 20 or 20?
I don't even know what alcohol costs.
22 rand or something for beer, bruh. I mean, so if you go to Rocking Days, what was the tickets for that? Like say 600-700 rand?
Something like that, yeah.
Some shit like that. Plus the transport, which is another like say 200 rand, like 900 rand. And then you got diet and accommodation, which is probably another 500 rand, but like looking at 1,314. You know any kids,
not gonna happen,
any of your friends who have kids, they'll give like a 2 grand to basically.
Yeah, it's definitely
Hell no.
so the market that they're marketing that whole festival too.
You feel me? So I mean, like that's some crazy shit. You look at small town beat, it's 350 a ticket, plus your transport costs another 150 rand. So if you got friends, you're looking at spending like 500 rand at least.
So do we look at like, you know, some people say like, okay, like Nantal just mentioned now, they market it to a certain demographic. Is it based on that, or is it just based on the fact that like the economy is at the point where it's not helping us out, and that's why we are
Okay. Again, Cape Town's not that South Africa. Because we have enough friends who live in Joburg who seem to be doing quite fine.
Okay.
Right?
So
Yeah.
the salary scales, the disparity between
Expenses, this is a very expensive.
Yeah.
My niggas, we are living in fucking Los Angeles. You know, have you ever, do you know that San Francisco's got a massive fucking homeless problem? Like a huge homeless problem. People can't afford to rent in San Francisco. They're living out of the cars. They have a law that you can get arrested if they find you sleeping in your car, bro.
fuck.
Like even LA downtown LA, it look like the apocalypse.
But it's fucked. So, it's not like these people aren't homeless people as in like in the traditional sense where they don't have jobs.
Yeah.
They got jobs, they just can't fucking afford to rent in this place. And this place is turning to LA. We have buildings coming up in Woodstock, Salt River, left, right, and center. They were selling a micro apartment, 28 square meters or something like that, for something like 900 grand. 900,000 rand for 28 squares, bruh. You get a 2-bedroom house in Mitchell's Plain for the same 3-bedroom house in Mitchell's Plain for the same price. Probably with change and change of it. With you will have another 200 grand for renovation and shit.
Here's the thing. Now, what's the solution?
Who makes policy? So
Again, it
who-
comes back to like, no, you see,
No. We have to see the different the different. We have to talk about the different side of the coin as well. We've you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is in your mind? What is the solution?
the solution is we gotta go get that money, bro. And I
What-
mean,
what-
real fucking money. We need to see, we need to pressurize rent control, for example, in the city. This is bullshit for at least for the next 50 years. So that, so what made the city quite viable for me as a young person then was that the rental prices. I just told you I moved in '97 or something like that
600
into an
bucks.
apartment with 600 fucking rand.
Yeah.
For a room.
Okay, so take 600 rand times what that apartment was, a 2-bedroom place. I actually eventually took over the apartment 1 2. I take that shit and then take the amount of years, and I think that apartment probably will go now probably around about 12,000-15,000 rand.
Yeah, I think we just need the representation on the political level. 'Cause I don't
We do have a legislative representation. As long as people, as kind of people keep co-signing, allowing white people to manage this shit, we're gonna get fucked. Because I mean, it's again not their fault. They just don't understand. They have no reference point. For them, it's just a numbers game. We still have the traditional sort of like racial divide and spatial planning that the apartheid government put into place. And coming back to something very important, you said like this is not a racial thing per se. It's just the economics run around racial lines.
Yeah.
This is the important distinction. It's not the same fucking thing.
But now, what do you say about people that give the narrative like, but why don't we control our own community economy? Like in the sense of, you know what?
How?
We do for. I know it's difficult, but there is that narrative.
You're asking for social responsibility from people who are barely fucking making ends meet, bro. I mean, I had the shitty experience of pulling out of my driveway yesterday, and there was a lady walking around with a little boy in a pram, and she was carrying a baby bath. She obviously had some fight with her spouse or something, wherever she was, and she got kicked out. And she's moving around with this kid's crying, and I'm pulling on my car, and I'm like, you know, I'm like taking a bit longer than normally because I want to see what the situation, if she's alright, man.
Yeah.
Okay. And then because also I don't want to come off as being a creepy fucker.
Yeah.
Walking up to her, you know, she's a single woman and she's got a little baby with her, you know, it's a bit like, you know, I'm a guy. I'm not exactly the smallest guy. So something else I've become to realize, you know what I mean? And I see this and I'm like, Oscar, you're right. She's like, no, she's not. She's looking for a place to stay. Bruh, I died. I fucking died at that moment. I was like, shit. My instinct immediately was like, I want to give you a place to stay. But then I was like, fuck, I can't do this. I'm a father. I'm a single. I'm living alone in my home. There's a mother with a child and shit. This looks all kinds of fucking wrong. I don't know what the situation. I don't know who she is. But my instinct immediately was, let me try and help.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that. And I was like, has the child eaten? She's like, no, she doesn't have money to feed the child. So I literally had 50 rand. That was all I had. My pocket. I gave it to her. I said, please find something to feed this child. And then when I was driving, I was like, fuck, I didn't even consider, oh yeah, she eaten.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is like crazy in the middle of Woodstock. The amount of, let me tell you something, the amount of poor people that are in Woodstock and Salt will blow your fucking mind, bro. It will blow your motherfucking mind. So
didn't
you
they-
ask me what the solution is. It's like we need to be aware firstly. We need to acknowledge we have a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't discuss anything, and this is the whole thing. When I said like, when my peers aren't supporting anything I say, or not co-signing on something, or
It's bigger than just that.
it's not about me. I don't give a fuck if you don't like me.
Yeah.
You need to question like whether what I'm saying is making sense or not.
Just getting back to the point where we need to acknowledge it first. Like I really don't want to talk about the problems the whole time, but I'm realizing that my mind is ahead of now, man.
Yeah.
Because I need to realize that we first need to have this conversation for years and years. Even though I don't smart to have
The
this conversation.
inconvenient truth.
But it's like myself and my friend Mr. Zaid. So I was like telling him, dude, I want some like gay people on and whatever.
Yes,
but I wanted to be a fun experience. But then I told him, dude, I've realized that I can't make fun of you guys when there's people dying because
Yeah,
of that.
because of that.
So I'm actually ahead, and I must just live more in the times of now.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean? Like,
Now I'm just making an example
like,
of
like you making you saying that you can't make fun of gay people.
yeah, like have a podcast where we just have fun and not talk about the seriousness of the matter. Just have fun and type of thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't. We're not there yet. I can't. I make fun of them. Where I say I call it the alphabet people.
The what?
The
The
alphabet
alphabet
people.
people. I don't know if you saw the Dave Chappelle.
Which one?
Anyway,
I think it was his first one back on Netflix, and
Yeah.
he was like saying like you know the LGBT community
Oh, yeah?
and plus, so he calls it the alphabet people because you just add on another letter when there's something. Yeah.
Alphabet Peter.
yeah. So basically, I told him, dude, I don't want this the normal narrative where we talk about I want to see people the fun side. But then we spoke about it, and I told him I'm actually beginning to realize that I can't have that podcast yet.
Because if you
We
think
can
about,
show signs of it, but we're gonna have to talk about because we're not there yet where we can.
Because
I don't. I'm good. Let me ask you a question.
I'm just making an example. But
Yeah. So I mean, like, that's a good conversation because I mean, I've got some heavy issues with some of the things you're saying and stuff. I don't believe that we should be a society where we are suddenly auditing what we're saying and how we're saying and stuff. Context is important. I mean, if I am with my gay friend, whatever, and we're discussing whatever, am I not allowed to make jokes or make fun of him?
No,
Or her?
I'm definitely the same. Definitely, I have the same point of view. But the thing is, I've realized that I need to tone down a bit because there are people that might take that conversation and that joke and link it to people killing each other or people.
No, but I mean,
based on the environment at the
I personally don't. I've never experienced that sort of issue where I have lost friends or family or being beaten down for being gay. Or maybe I just don't know enough gay people.
No,
That's
I-
highly
now-
plausible. That's highly possible. What I do know is that, like, I know enough people of color who got fucked up,
yeah,
wrong place, wrong time, get shot, maimed, whatever. So my trip is we must be careful not to take an international campaign
yeah.
that now so imposes itself in our space over here when we have other issues that are just as pressing, if not more so.
No, but the thing is, my friend, he creates safe spaces.
Yeah, but why don't they
For-
safe
for-
spaces? The whole fucking city should be safe. It's like okay. Let me.
I can't defend that because I'm not.
I you're saying,
know
but
what I'm
I just want to explain something. Really. Just to make a analogy. Why is there no colored safe spaces? The idea of it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that. I will definitely not agree with you there. The thing is, the reason why you're saying that is because we're not living that reality, man.
No, but
Where-
when I say colored safe spaces, I'm talking about like kids being shot the fucked up on the Cape Flats.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody wants the same thing. It's we can't say why are we having that safe spaces but not this safe spaces. It's almost like
No,
saying,
I'm not questioning the safe space. I'm simply saying that, like, okay, from a logical standpoint, we are taking a particular stance that I don't think changes the thinking. The thinking of the people needs to change. Being gay in our society needs to be normalized. Not have a special space for them. It's like aanpassingsklasse for slow kids.
Yeah.
We don't have to deal with slow kids. We put them over there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's problematic for me because it doesn't solve the problem. We are basically creating a nice special department for them, and they can lump it over there.
Yeah.
I grew up in an era where
I don't think that's what they're trying to do.
I know they're not, but
I
they're
think-
consciously doing it.
I think what they're trying to do is first and foremost for them to come out. Not that I'm not speaking. I'm not no authority on the but I think they create the space because they have to live a lie basically. So they make it like this room where the dudes that can actually say this game.
Yeah.
So that is it's. I don't think we can fathom it because we're not gay.
I think, but also I understand where Erefaan is coming from. I remember it's the same analogy that I made with the parks in North Pine, where
Yeah.
they're now putting fence around or whatever. What is that constantly sending to the kid that wants to go play on the park?
Yeah, but
Like now the fence.
the thing is, we can say that because we are not gay.
Yeah.
If we were
No, but
gay-
I don't agree. It's like it's very much similar to this men are trash movement where the movement is about us as men, but yet we are not allowed to speak on the topic because we're not women. But the problem is us apparently. So
Yeah. So we need to speak about it.
we should be speaking about it. And the thing is, like, your approach is super important. I don't believe that, for example, that you can have create a silo for yourself and have a conversation amongst your own. Doesn't solve the issue. If you want solutions, now if the safe space is created just for them, so there's a support group and there's a space for gay people to interact and find materials and resources to deal with their particular issues socially, then great stuff. I got no issue with that. Then that's fine. But what I'm saying to you is that, like, I don't like, for example, the fact that we still have colored communities. Exclusively colored communities is a fuck up.
It's a problem because
That's a fucking
there's
problem.
no integration.
There's no integration. I'm never gonna learn shit about you if you don't live next to me. How the fuck do you have me just plain and then we have
Kailicha.
not Kailicha, Samora,
Shimona
Michelle,
Michelle,
yeah.
yes.
literally fucking divided by a road and it's just all black and that's all colored on the other side.
And that's the thing we spoke about it previously in previous episodes. Is like when we were speaking about like white and the way white people view us, whatever. Like they would not understand if they don't understand our situation. Same thing if we don't understand black situation, if black don't understand us. There has to be integration to understand.
It
the
has to
other
happen.
person.
I mean, this is what the 6-6 was about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I think I said it in a previous podcast where apartheid was a crime against humanity, not just a crime against black people. It was because it divided the whites from the blacks, because the whites couldn't see us and did, like, know how we operate and whatever. So they were also robbed, type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they became beneficiaries thereof, but anyways, that's another conversation. I mean, like, I don't have much sympathy for white folk in the apartheid context because I don't think that it really cost them as much as it did us.
Yeah. I don't think they were victims in that context.
Like I don't want. I mean, like, yes, they lost that connection, but I mean, it benefited them largely to a huge fucking degree. And I mean, their kids and their kids are beneficiaries thereof. I mean, like, anybody who denies that is like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to have a conversation with you because I mean, we're gonna get nowhere. And I mean, this is the biggest issue is that, like, and this extends to the music thing as well, is that we have a lot of denialism going on. We can't talk about anything or fix anything if we can't admit that there's a problem.
Yeah, it can't
You
be
know what I mean? Like, you don't find it
it
weird that you can go to places where there's only your kind there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The
I mean,
belief-
and sorry, hold on. To come back to that thing. So when I came into the house scene, black, white, green, yellow, okay, one
everybody
roof,
was
one
there.
place.
It was the same with hip hop as well.
What happened? Remember that thing I said I wanted to talk about earlier? Okay, so government changed law on cigarette companies. Theory, not fact. This part I'm telling you is fact. Government changed the laws about cigarette companies. Now they're allowed to advertise. Cigarette companies used to fund the house scene quite heavily at the time.
I used to
Was
remember. Yeah.
Stuyvesant,
Camel.
and so forth. Camel. all
So
this
Camel Parties was off the hook.
Yeah. What then happened was the government said you can't advertise your brand at this thing. So the cigarette brands started throwing the ciggy parties. We must know about those, right? So the ciggy companies were employed by advertising companies. Advertising companies then became up with the terms of the main market, These markets run around nation lines, although it's supposedly based on economics. Even Good Hope Fem use LSMs. They talk about LSMs. I don't know if they still do. They
Living
probably
standard
don't.
measures.
That's all that. But they used to. But when you talk about LSMs,
LSM is just to give
Living
the
standard
viewers.
measure.
living standard measures.
Okay.
So how much money you make.
Yeah.
And you need like, for example, you could make half a bar here, but if you don't have a toilet, then you belong in that LSM. They would sit in the box and it'd be ticked to put you in a certain group. But these groups and this marketing jargon, for example, essentially created another form of apartheid because the marketing was now almost exclusively aimed at, because when we did with LSM 3 to 5, it was almost more entirely black. When he dealt with LSM 5 to 7, it was almost entirely colored. When he dealt with LSM 7 to 12, whatever the fuck the next level was, it was almost exclusively white. They just didn't have to say that. But this is a nice way of like taking a set of actual facts and creating a marketing thing over there. But what then happens, this kind of like marketing campaigns became the norm. And it created more segregation. And now we end up with like situations where gay people don't come to straight parties. There's the gay community, which just always exists, but they don't hang out with straight people. They go to gay clubs. You understand what I'm saying? As if like they are. It's like it makes no sense to me. Like you, just like me, you just have a different sexual preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you like guys or you like girls, and that's
Yeah.
or you transgender. Whatever. It is. I personally have never had issues with gay people.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know if any of my friends. I mean, some of my friends were typically guys and were homophobic, for example, to some degree. But even then, it's like it was never a case of like I fucking hate gay people. That people was just like, oh no, I don't fuck around with gay people. And I'm like, oh, relax, brother. I'm trying to fuck you. Same way you ain't trying
You
to
ain't that
fucking. Yeah, no, same way you ain't trying to fucking. They ain't trying to fuck you, dog.
Yeah.
Your arrogance, please, nigga. You might not be there, but if you ask me, like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Your ass in there, van. Nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? It's like sort of that sort of thing. And eventually they relax and everybody's cool. Like under most circumstances, I've never been to a club situation where there being a lot of gay people being an issue.
Maybe the experience is also different. And maybe they used to being ostracized, and so I'd rather go to a place where I'm the majority type of thing. Maybe that could
Yeah,
be-
but I mean, again, it doesn't. We lose out the opportunity to normalize their representation in normal social circumstances, and I think that's more important than actually just having a space where you, okay, like, 28s hang out with other 28s,
Yeah.
and then the thinking that 28s have is like that's normal for that group of gangsters. Understand it? And eventually, when you come outside of that group and you're trying to integrate maybe with other people, they don't understand where you're coming from, and then you're like, nah, these people are like a cuck. Not to say that they're not. Again, I'm not trying to say that that they do not face challenges. I believe they face a shit ton of challenges. I've experienced in certain circumstances, comments making, nothing like physical, but like just like, blesser.
Yeah.
Fucking being homophobic, and you know what I mean? I'm like, kicking nigga, Lex, it's cool. You know what I mean? But nothing's going to change if we continuously kind of like compartmentalize social circumstances. The same solution that is for us as colored people, it's the same solution for everything else. We need to learn to get to know each other. However, we also live in an age of amazing amounts of fear.
Yeah.
You know, like you worry that you might say the wrong thing. It will end your
Yeah.
career literally, especially as an artist. I mean, I find it interesting that like literally every actor, singer, not every, but most of them, they all pretty much sing the same song at the moment. And you're not allowed to comment outside that narrative. Support LGBT. My question is, what happens if you come from a situation, for example, you were molested as a child? Okay. But now you say something against gay people. And this is basically stemming from that abuse situation, is the same. And you erroneously conflict the two things as one. You know what I mean? Gay people, child molestation, which a lot of people do.
fuck that, yeah, but
Yeah, a lot of people do that. I mean, there's a lot of fucking very straight people that do crazy cuck. Actually, most of them.
Yeah.
So they conflict that issue. And there's a fear. But now you make a statement, and suddenly you get in it. Like what I said, this cancel counts, this culture that we have at the moment. It's not interested in having conversation. It just wants to end fucking people. And I think it doesn't change the fucking thing, because I can guarantee 10 to 1. For every push, there's an opposite equal push.
Yeah.
And at some point,
Laws
like
of physics,
if I look at like you guys know about Wahhabism.
What?
Wahhabism. Okay, so you know these fucking guys that have bombs.
Oh, yes.
Terrorists, whatever. Okay, so that's a form of Wahhabism, the kind of beliefs they have. Right?
Yeah.
And that came out of like a
jihad?
not necessarily. That's very. It's loosely thrown around, but it's not the same thing. Wahhabism is basically the belief that like anybody who doesn't follow a very particular niche sets of beliefs of Islam is considered the enemy. In other words, I'm fighting against you. Okay. So, and you are trying to take away my culture and my beliefs and blah, 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 whatever the story is. And we have a result where people now go out there and blow up fucking buildings, cars, and all kinds of shit, because it's based on their religious and social structure that they're trying to preserve. And, fuck, I forgot now what I was going to say. So, we have a situation where these people are acting on these belief systems and stuff. And if you take about that extreme sort of kind of belief system that these people have, that is born out of an antagonistic and pushback from a Western, like a overbearing fucking Western influence on the world at the moment. Like I literally had a situation where, so something I didn't know. So in Indonesia, apparently they don't have an age restriction on marriage.
Okay.
So you can marry a girl up to the age of 12 or 14. And I didn't know this. Now, for me, that sounds fucking all kinds of fucked up. But maybe that's their culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't align with my shit. And my question is like, at which point do I get the right to say something about it?
Yeah.
I see it every single day. We have people weighing in on countries and places they've never fucking been. And they feel the right to comment on their social structures. Oh, God, it's so fucked up. It's so backward.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, what's fucked up is that your auntie touched you as a lighty. That's fucked up. But we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
What is fucked up is that your brother just shot the fuck out of that fucking other brother's mother's house and shot the 5-year-old kid. That's fucked up.
Yeah. But we're not touching on that.
But
But you don't see
Oh my God.
your own culture.
you know what I
Your
mean?
own culture, but your way of
Sort your own fucking shit out and check yourself and check your thing, because
Do you
I
think
mean
it's like a lack of
we have this colonial gedachte. It's
mentality.
basically our way is the only way, and just how we're gonna fucking approach the situation and fuck everything else that doesn't fit into my world viewpoint. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I will say I don't understand it. It's not my bag. I've got things I need to fix over here, and that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not a LGBT expert. I know fuck all about it, like you succinctly said. And I will probably catch a lot of flack for this, for the statements I make, but that's okay. Educate me. You know what I mean? Like
I think everybody's so scared to make the mistake, but there's wisdom in the mistake. Actually, you create a teachable moment in that mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say we got a lot of people who are low-key racist. They've learned, okay, now we don't say certain things in the open.
Yeah.
We you know, but I'm still going to be the fucking asshole that I am. I still
the problem
think
is
that
not actually what you say; it's the feeling.
it's the internalization. But
Exactly.
we have created an environment where it's 1984. You guys know the book?
Yeah.
George Orwell.
Yes, yes, yes,
1984.
Yeah.
Where
Big Brother
basically
watching
people are like for example, what was that girl that was killed 1970 by that post office fucker?
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys aware the guy's basically a serial killer, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
found like many other bodies. as well.
in his house.
Okay, so my question is like, so we had a roll of the Mina trash movement now coming off the back again, like another
Yeah,
resurgence.
we had a podcast on it.
Yeah, we had a podcast
Yeah,
on
so
that.
now we have a resurgence on it again. So my thing is like, okay, so men need to be more responsible. We should have the death penalty. Now let's talk about the death penalty thing. Okay, the death penalty is a bullshit idea. For one reason only. If anything, guess why?
You're giving the state the power to kill you.
Besides that, I mean,
That's my problem with it. Actually.
that's the least of my issues with this particular thing. The crime still happens, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you think that the bra who's shooting guns on the Cape Flats is not scared to die? Don't care me, bro.
The death penalty has never changed that side. of
Yeah,
things.
the states in
I mean, there was another statement. They were like, there was a demand on by the group saying that like they must deny bails for rapists. So when do we decide the guy's a rapist?
Yeah, when you
Or the
prove
girl, is it like before the trial or after the trial?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
So because bail generally happens before the trial.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense to me. Like
it's jargon that's been thrown around just to
I
as
understand
solutions.
Yeah.
But it's if you break it down, really, it's not a solution.
I mean, like again, like I think the majority of that movement was about they want action, they want change in the social structure. But okay, guy,
It's a nuanced conversation, and there's a lot of different avenues to that conversation. And when we had the original one, just 2 days after it,
yeah,
he said there's still more that he wanted to say. And I was like, oh, do we need to have another serious
Conversation.
podcast?
yeah, but then you must
But
get.
but the thing is, I'm realizing that was part one of the conversation.
Yeah.
There is a lot.
There is a lot to
like
talk
the first
about.
one is to acknowledge
Yeah.
guys, there is a problem because that's the first thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's-
but okay, wait.
and after that,
just-
we can dissect and address the different.
But
evidence of it.
remember what I also said on the podcast, which is what you also saying. I said the exact same thing. That podcast was, for me, I dedicated that podcast to the men. Because the men of movement, like, we need to, it's about us, so we need to talk about it. It's not about, like,
Okay, wait. So, well, hold on,
Anyway.
hold on. Okay, so that's an interesting thing to say. So, like,
gather your thoughts.
yeah, it's got to be careful. I've got to carefully word this because this is kind of like it can come out wrong in so many fucking ways right now.
Like, look, for me, it was about accountability, and we need to be
Yeah,
accountable
but now
as
you're
men.
accountable for what?
Look, it's at the end of the day, it's like, if you in a group of guys and you know that they're doing shit and stuff like that.
Like, okay, so I'm gonna say something. I know a DJ who had a situation with his girlfriend, 2 girlfriends actually, and where there was abuse taking place. What would you have me do?
Well, look, firstly, there has to be a confrontation. Confrontation, like, not physical. It's just like, look, dude, you are doing this. Like, this is going to be seen in a certain light. It's like, all from my point of view. Do you think that it's right? You need to stop doing this? Like, whatever. Like, if we, it's like the same thing like you were saying about you've said something about the industry. Your fellow DJs don't want to co-sign you, but they will come tell you, like, in person, like, yo, I agree with that. So it's the same thing, like, he needs to be held accountable. Like, he needs to know that somebody knows
nice.
what he's doing.
Okay, yes and no, but I mean, how do we hold him accountable? Cancel. Center.
Yeah.
So we're gonna implement our ideas and our beliefs through fear.
Not necessarily fear. I think, like, people get away with things because they feel that they can, because they're comfortable. Like, nobody is actually viewing or seeing what they're doing. So they're like, okay, I'm doing it in the dark, so it's fine. But when they are put in an uncomfortable space, it's like, will they do it again? Will they continue that? That's the thing. Like, we now know what you do. You know, that's where I'm coming from, the accountability factor. Like, we just allow a lot of things to slide as a community.
Yeah, it's difficult because I don't think we're getting a result here though. I think we're basically saying that, okay, as long as you don't get caught, it's right.
Nah, it's not
You
that.
indirectly, you understand what I'm saying?
It could be viewed like that, but I don't think that's what I'm trying to say.
I know it's what you're trying to say, but the result, let me rephrase that. The result will possibly be that, like, I will do this
Until I get caught.
until I get caught. As long as you don't see or hear about it, it's fine.
Yeah, but I think, like, for future, because remember, like, somebody that's abusing is never gonna stop. So at least, like, yes, we can't change what has happened in the past, but what we can do is we're trying to change the future.
Okay, wait, let me flip something quickly. So every one of us here knows a guy who's had an abusive situation with a woman.
To a certain degree, yeah.
Okay, and I would say that relationship may be ended for some of them. Correct? Okay. When he or she, well, the guy, the abuser, went on to the next relationship, were they repeating the same behavior or not?
Most likely they were.
50-50, yeah?
50-50.
Yeah.
So my question, what's the dynamic here? What changed? You see that this is like I'm one of those people where I believe that, like, I want data. I don't want to just simply say I'm gonna do this, that, and other when I don't understand what's going on. Like, I don't think we really understand what's going on. And yes, the discussion needs to happen, but I want to have discussion. But, like, why? What's going on here?
So what you're saying is, if you tell the bride just continues, there was no point of it.
Not in a point. You like what I've done before was say, okay, I don't like this. Don't ever fucking do this shit. I literally told this to a friend, and yeah, me and you're gonna have fucking problems if this ever happens if I don't make it.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but hold on, that happened. I just wasn't around.
Oh, it happened again.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't live for that bra.
Yeah, you can't.
He needs to realize that he has a problem and he needs to work because you can't wait
No,
to do the work for him.
Yeah.
The thing is like, and I don't know if you guys ever approach somebody in that situation. I have, and like they acknowledge they got a problem. But like it's like everything else that is like ingrained in you. It's not the easiest shit to kick.
Yeah.
And what do you do after a certain point?
No.
Do you like abandon them and leave them to their own devices so they can continue doing this shit and I get more mad, see you maybe lose my fucking fridge, I'm gonna fuck you up even more?
It's not,
But the
it's
partner also has the option to leave. Obviously, that's not always that easy. For the
Okay, so
female
now
to leave
that
the
now
situation.
you're getting to where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
My question is like, so in that relationship or any sort of abusive situation, where's your personal authority in that situation? Well, what are you doing about the situation? I can't I maintain this to every single one of my female friends, and I know it's easy to say as a guy, but I'm gonna say it any fucking ways. If a motherfucker disrespects you on any fucking level, leave now.
Yeah.
If he takes you for a puss, leave now. If he fucking disrespects you or even looks at you fucking funny and you don't smack it, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You don't need that kind of fucking drama. What's a fucking ever?
Yeah.
You know, the psychology behind and the Stockholm syndrome that gets formed there, it's fucking intense, bro.
Yeah.
Because that bra wasn't always that bra.
Yeah.
And also roles reversed. I've seen other situations where bras with women and fucking nigga gets fucking beaten the fuck up.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, there needs to be a certain degree of like that the partner needs to also put their foot down. You cannot be sticking around for this shit. I can't do anything about this guy's behavior if you guys are always in this fucking loop. Like, I mean, I need to remove this. I first need to remove the set of circumstances that causes thing to fucking whatever. And then once you got like a bit of distance between, maybe you get some perspective and maybe you can review the situation. I've also known situations where, weirdly enough, one guy would be with one girl and they have like a fucking toxic setup, whether it be arguments or actual physicality. And then you meet someone else and fuck all happens. It's fine.
Yeah.
They'll have the odd fucking couple argument and whatever, but it's never like
The chemistry and triggers.
the chemistry is fucking different. So my thing is like I'm seeking to understand what's going on. Why is it happening? Also, my question is like I want data sets. So if I'm going to talk about it, I want to discuss the whole picture and yes, but I'm not down for canceling, because if you have a bro who's abusive and you cancel that motherfucker and you stop dealing with him, he's going to continue doing stuff with other men and find more of his own kind. Do you think fucking the right-wing racist motherfuckers are loving by themselves? No, they go find other racists, bro. Okay, cool. There's more people might say my point of view. It's what happens on Facebook every single day. That's why I keep seeing the same cuck over and over again. People sharing the same fucking bullshit views. What I realize is my views and my approach to things is not easy to find more people that resonate with that. And a lot of times I think a lot of people kind of like something I say because it's just me. Erefaan, that guy, DJ, favorite DJ, like his music. Like, but whether they actually fucking put thought into it or whatever. Like, again, like the LGBT and women's abuse stuff, I think that these are topics that are definitely need to be chatted about, but I think it's also a situation that it needs to be explained to men because we are not going to do it.
So yeah?
We are not going to do it. We're not going to go look for why.
Yeah.
And once we have the why, we can then attack.
It needs to be brought to us.
Yeah. So like in a sort of example, have education in school with kids. Same way, like I believe that if schools fucking taught taxes and government actually fucking
so
work, then I'm down for that. Get my kids to have fucking taxes as a subject of
Entrepreneurship or
school.
whatever.
Yeah, and
Learn
fucking
that stuff.
running finance, for example, how money, the markets actually work.
Yeah.
Then I'm down for that. Same thing. I think that social skills need to be applied at school and our kids need to be taught.
Yeah.
You want to wrap up?
Yeah. Look.
Trap bars.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for dropping the gems. There was a lot to say. I feel there's still a lot more to say. We can always have you on again.
Definitely do. Definitely.
Yeah.
Careful, I talk too much.
you like you like a well of information and knowledge. So like
I'll tell you something weird though. Like, this stuff is only relevant when I talk to people. Like, I don't think all of this stuff all the time. I read a lot.
Yeah.
I read every morning, although my eyesight's going to shit. But I read articles every fucking day. And then only when I talk to people, and this is what I love, and thank you for having me. When I talk to people who I can exercise some of this shit on, then otherwise it just sits there. But like also shapes my opinion and viewpoints like big time, because like I'm always cross-referencing information back and forth. And like as I said, like I've been mentioning a few times, I'm all about the papers, the science, the proven evidence, not the shit that I read in the newspaper, but written by journalists who know shit about the situation because they write. That's their job. I trust scientists who has actual fucking data. Oh, by the way, I can fix that TV as well.
Now I was need to do that. Okay.
No. So your TV is not displaying full frame.
Oh,
So what you got to do is there's a setting under your settings you need to change, and it will show the entire
no,
screen.
was it take long?
So yeah, Shaq, do you wanna close off with what you usually do? Subscribe here, subscribe there. Yeah.
I forgot about that already, actually.
Big shock.
Yeah, but to the viewers out there, if you're still with us after this lengthy but very informative podcast, thank you. If not, well, you know what, you can always just listen to it again. Subscribe if where you can. And we'll give you some more content in the next few weeks to come.
And just want to say safe travels to Shaq. He's going outer space.
Again, on the hiatus again.
Okay. Oh yeah, one more thing is like we got these new cans in. I purchased these from Defeat once, part of the Hand Control 360 Graffiti Collective.
Okay, nice.
Support the brother. The cans go for $100 a pop, which I think is an absolute steal. You'll own a piece of unique South African graffiti art.
Yeah, that's nice.
Bling,
Sounds
bling.
nice. But yeah, from the Babbling Heads podcast, we out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.